Hello, everyone, and welcome back to your favorite podcast, Stop the Internet Podcast. My name is Kelee. I'm the host.
I'm Erin. I'm today's co-host.
Today, we're talking about sweet, sweet revenge.
There is nothing I do better than revenge.
Oh my God, another T Swift song. I decided to title this episode, Lately I've Been Dressing for Revenge, or just I've Been Dressing for Revenge. Shout out T Swift, Midnight's vigilante shit.
But also shout out, Speak Now, baby.
I know, better than revenge. Kind of love it. We'll have to do another one if this goes well and use the alternative caption. So, today's stories are very petty. So I thought that was a good subject for Erin because she's a self-proclaimed petty queen.
Am I?
You said that on another episode. I might have cut it out though.
I don't recall calling myself petty.
I said Erin is a petty queen and she said all facts, but I think I cut it out because we were being mean.
I don't recall calling myself petty, but I guess some people would say I'm petty.
Would you consider yourself petty?
I think I can be if the situation calls for it.
How do you feel about revenge?
I go back and forth about revenge as a whole because definitely, like, again, situation calls for it. There are times where I'm like, yes, we got to get revenge. But majority of the time, I'm very much like the best revenge is moving on. Like, I just cannot be bothered.
Totally.
I love to not be bothered by things. Like, I love one day I woke up and forgot that you existed more so than I love getting revenge.
Agreed. I think so too. I think that revenge kind of just proves that you're not really over something if you feel the need to get revenge or seek revenge. But the stories are entertaining regardless.
Let's do it.
I think we're going to switch it up today, and I'm going to have Erin read some of the stories.
Okay.
I actually forget a lot of the stories that I've pulled for today's episode, so I think when Erin reads some of them, they will still be shocking for me. We're going to test your reading skills.
I can't read. This one is titled, Revenge on My Mother-in-Law, who was horrible to me for years and then decided she would wear the exact same dress as me to my wedding. Without even reading the story, yes, revenge is appropriate in this situation. I was looking at my wedding photos today and thought this community would appreciate my success. It's a bit long and all with all of the background, so go make a cup and settle in. My mother-in-law hated me from the moment we met. Think evangelical Catholic meets atheist. Ooh. I moved in with her son and had a baby without getting married, and she truly believed I was the devil incarnate sent to draw her baby boy into the depths of hell. There followed years of petty microaggressions, a constant barrage of manipulation and guilt tripping, and doing things like offering to watch the kids, then pulling out a half hour before, or buying the kids a puppy when we expressly said no, and then blaming us when she had to take the poor thing back. She pushed over my motorbike, turned up at my work, tried to rearrange the furniture in our house, and constantly talked about God and Jesus in front of the kids and told them they were going to hell because they weren't baptized.
Wow, Grandma of the Year.
I never cared about getting married. I felt weddings were a waste of money. I'd rather have a boat or a new motorbike, but it was more important to my hubby, so I agreed, on the condition that it was not a church wedding. Apart from the generally problematic nature of the church, I experienced religious trauma growing up and I wasn't prepared to compromise. Hubby agreed and we started planning. 2 days after we announced our engagement, too much wailing, gnashing teeth, and general dismay, a priest arrived on our doorstep. He had been sent by my mother-in-law to schedule a date for our wedding and book us in for premarital counseling. I was very nice to him. After all, my issue is with the institution, not this poor guy. And I thanked him for coming and told him we wouldn't be requiring any Catholic services for the wedding. He looked sad and expressed how he was a bit nervous to let my mother-in-law know. I offered him coffee and sympathy, and that was the start of an unlikely friendship. I was fairly annoyed by this stunt. I talked to my hubby, who at the time was so far in the fog that he couldn't see a hand in front of his face.
I like the way this OP writes.
Yeah.
She's funny.
She's a novelist for sure. He didn't see the big deal and asked me to just let it go. I thought about it for a day, then told him no. We had to address this immediately or it would escalate. I understood that he loves his mom and sisters and that their obvious contempt for me was a problem. I don't like ultimatums, but by this point, I'd been putting up with it for about 6 years. I laid it out. We address it now or no wedding. It went about as well as you would expect. We visited and hubby tried to talk to her about how inappropriate her actions were. She screamed at him and cried, and then his sister started on both of us. Standing there, watching my hubby's heart break, my filter broke. I told them to stop, very loudly. Then I told them that they were behaving like toddlers, that I was embarrassed by their antics, and to consider this their first and only warning. If they tried anything like this again, or treated us with anything other than kindness and respect, not only would I cancel the wedding, I would tell their priest and all their friends about their disgusting behavior. If they wanted to be a part of planning, I would welcome their participation, but that my hubby and I had the final say. Hubby was distraught, and I felt bad for him, but we got into couples counseling and things got better. Meanwhile, mother-in-law and sister-in-laws seemed to have taken things on board and were maintaining a frosty civility, although I was banned from their house because I was scary. Fast forward about 12 months. Time for dress shopping. Ye gods, I hated the idea of a wedding dress. I hate pale colors, I hate dressing up, I hate dresses. Just everything about the idea made me want to go into a fake coma to get out of it. But I promised my own mom and brother that we could do this together. So mom, mother-in-law, sister-in-law times 3, brother and his wife all came along with me to marvel at the sight of me in a dress. And it wasn't a bad day. The in-laws behaved, and I found a dress that I didn't hate as much as the others. I paid for it, and we left. The next day, I got a call from the shop. Mother-in-law and the sister-in-laws had ordered themselves the exact same dress as me. I told hubby, and he didn't really believe it. I laughed about it for a bit, went back to the shop, and ordered a new dress. This one was dark purple with black trim. And then I had the idea. I don't have a lot of female friends, but all of my male friends have wives who had wedding dresses. And sometimes they say they feel that they spent a lot of money on a dress that they'll never wear again. I talked to hubby, and he agreed. So the invitations went out, and every person who had ever worn a wedding dress was invited to wear it to our wedding. The mother-in-law and the sister-in-laws got a different invitation that specifically asked that they not wear white. Dress code was stated as whatever you're comfortable in. I wasn't there for the initial confusion that swiftly turned into rage, but my mom and brother gleefully recounted the story later. All 4 of them turned up in their beautiful white dresses with their beautiful makeup and hair and were completely absorbed by the rest of the crowd. They didn't stand out. They looked exactly like everyone else, except for my mom and brother's wife, who wore purple like me. They weren't going to ruin my day by upstaging me. My hubby, who up to that point really didn't think they would do something so vile, turned to stone that day. They had finally shown the depths that they would sink to, and the last of the fog was swept away. I turned up in the sidecar of a Harley. I did experiment with riding it in the dress, but it didn't end so well, and the shop had to make a few emergency repairs the week before. And I walked down the aisle to the Imperial March by myself. My brother was my maid of honor, and his wife was my hubby's best man. Remember the priest? Well, he wasn't allowed to officiate outside of the church as a priest, so he was our MC. This was the icing on the cake, because I saw mother-in-law's face light up when she saw him, until he introduced the marriage celebrant and handed her the microphone. We had a pagan hand fasting, jumped over a broomstick, and walked back down the aisle to Sweet Child of Mine, while our 2 kids played air guitar and danced ahead of us. I came face to face with my mother-in-law at the door. She was incandescent with rage. She went to speak, but my hubby stepped forward, and she shushed her, right in front of everyone. It was glorious. She didn't speak to either of us for the rest of the night. She didn't speak to us for nearly a month. And then she called one day to ask to see the kids as if nothing had ever happened. So I let it go because my husband and I had won. But every now and then, I wear the purple dress when I know she'll be at an event because I'm petty like that. Girl,
what a
queen.
story. Holy moly.
She's a queen.
Okay,
First of all,
where to start?
First of all, she sounds like a queen from the start. Like, she just lives her own life and is just, like, not sorry for the way she lives. And I love that for her. You know, she chose to move in, have kids, ride her motorcycle, and didn't care what his family thought from the beginning. So I love that for her. And then when she finally gave in, which, you know, marriage is about, love is about compromise. So she finally gave in and was like, yes, let's get married, but we do this on my terms. Girly, yes. And yes to, like, finally opening up your husband's eyes to, like, the horrid things that they have been doing.
Yeah. That story almost sounds too good to be true because it's so funny. But I love her. She's a queen. She's amazing. That's hilarious. Especially since she doesn't give a shit about weddings, it seems. They're doing all the anti-traditions, it seems. And wow, mother-in-law from hell. That's what you frickin' get.
And sister-in-laws from hell. I mean, she's dealing with 4 crazy women.
It's kind of crazy that they ordered the same dress as her because wedding dresses aren't cheap. So did they both just spend thousands of dollars on a wedding dress just so they could try to show up their daughter-in-law and sister-in-law?
Imagine being that psychotic.
I know, that's crazy.
Like, I'm gonna wear the exact same dress to a wedding. And like, you know that this woman is gonna be in your family for the rest of your lives. Imagine being that psychotic that you and your 3 daughters need to wear the exact same thing as the bride.
I'm like scared that one day I'm gonna have in-laws like that. I'm trying to manifest perfect in-laws that aren't gonna wear the same dress as me to my wedding.
I will never have in-laws like that because if it starts to be that crazy, I will not marry someone. Like I will not stay with someone if I am forced to feel that way.
It's so hard though because you can't really blame people for the family they come from.
I know.
So you can't really blame the husband. You know,
it's
not his fault.
I don't blame the husband by any means. I mean,
but you would just break up with him if it was you.
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't blame him. I just wouldn't keep myself in an uncomfortable position.
Okay.
I mean, maybe it sounds like she is okay with it and she's like ready to live her petty life. Like I might be petty, but like I don't have it in me to tolerate that.
Yeah.
You know, good for her. Like I mean, you said it yourself, too good to be true for sure. But it sounds like they had a small wedding. So like she was able to do this and like, bravo. Incredibly well done. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah, amazing. Good job, OP.
We love you, OP.
We love a petty
Couldn't
queen.
have done it better ourselves.
Okay, I have another wedding one. We chose where we got married out of sheer pettiness. My partner lost her new job last month unexpectedly, completely out of the blue, for absolute bullshit reasons. She's been looking for a new job, but there is no way she would be able to find one in time to avoid a lapse in health insurance, which isn't really an option for us. In order to get her on my insurance, we decided to go ahead and tie the knot. We've already been in the process of planning our wedding next fall for quite some time. One of the first things we did was pick a venue. At first, we had our hearts set on this local botanical garden, aka Venue A. We spent a lot of time there and even had a membership there for a year before our finances dissolved into chaos. But when we reached out to them, we discovered that their prices and policies are insane. The venue itself has a large rental fee, which we expected and planned for, but then they nickel and dime you with a bunch of other mandatory charges that you have to use their vendors. Everything is per guest. They have 125 guest minimum. We don't even know that many people, let alone that many that we would want at our wedding. All told, it was going to be upward of $10,000 for their most basic packages, and on top of all of that, they and their vendors couldn't even promise me a meal that I could eat. I'm violently allergic to gluten, and so is most of my family. So naturally, that was out of the question, and we picked a different venue, Venue B, a local arboretum with much more reasonable costs and policies, extremely helpful staff, and other options for food allergies. We still plan to have our real wedding there next fall and couldn't be happier with our choice. But when we were deciding where to have our little marriage ceremony this week with just our closest friends, I had an idea. It was only 6 of us, so I had everyone buy a regular general admission ticket to Venue A. We went in, found a little secluded corner, and held our tiny ceremony there without all the bullshit charges. We then pranced around the venue taking lots of cute pictures together to celebrate our marriage, all for the low price of general admission. And because I'm extra petty, whenever we do have the financial leeway to become members again, we're going to instead sign up for a membership with Venue B. They're both part of the National Reciprocation Program, so membership at one grants entry at the other, and we've decided that Venue B deserves more of our money. Suck it, Venue A.
Honestly amazing. Good for them.
Yeah.
You know what?
And I feel like doing something like that doesn't hurt anyone. It's not like they're causing a ruckus or a scene. Like there's a reason why, to an extent, weddings cost so much. You have the best service, the best food. You know, you're treated a little bit differently. You're treated a little bit better, hopefully, than just the normal general admission guests. So not completely hating on them, but yeah, go off. That's so fun.
I feel like that's hardly petty. And like you said, it doesn't hurt anyone. It's just perfect. Like, good for them. That's more like playing the system. Like they played the system and it didn't hurt anyone. Good for them.
Exactly.
I love that.
Support. Do you want to read another?
This one is titled, A Classmate's Mom Tried to Get Me Expelled for, quote, selling deadly drugs, end quote, now that they're being sued for embezzlement. Shit, this is like serious. Okay.
Maybe.
I picked up a few unsavory addictions in grade 10. Cigarettes, benzodiazepines, Xanax, opioids, Oxycontin, and Percocet.
Oh my gosh, this is scary.
I know. I was very depressed, and I changed schools for my senior year.
Oh, this is so sad.
I know. To a smaller school where I knew most of the people. I was trying to start new with old friends and new people. Well, some rumors followed me. I was still a heavy stoner, and so were my friends at this school. This got some unwanted attention, and some people just don't care to hide it. It became problematic a few months into the school year when an anonymous letter was sent into the school claiming to be concerned for my well-being, saying I was going to school high, smoking with my friends on breaks. Partly true. I managed to avoid punishment because there wasn't anything to back it up, and the principal and VP weren't happy about the anonymous BS. Then came a few more letters, saying I was selling pills to younger kids, pressuring them into taking them. They claimed they had 12 plus kids' parents on board to pull their kids if I wasn't expelled. My parents were pissed. Some of my teachers started treating me differently. Kids I had been friends with distanced themselves. It caused me to relapse hard, and it ruined my grades.
Wait, I think I'm confused. The parents of these children just decided to blame him without any proof?
Like, I mean, maybe they have proof in the sense that, like, their kids told them or something. Like, oh, I got my pills from this person.
Okay. All
like,
right.
not like
Maybe
hard
he'll give
proof,
us
but the
more.
kids are being honest with the parents. I don't know.
Okay.
I made it past it all, didn't get expelled, passed my courses, and still have a few friends from the school. Now on the culprit, this lady. She had sent letters to the kids I knew saying everybody hated them, they should leave the school, etc. We knew it was her in previous instances because of a WhatsApp number she used to threaten someone, and anonymous letters written in the same word style got attributed to her. She's a psycho, always meddling, even in her younger daughter's shit, who was 10 or 11 at the time, keeping her kids from hanging out with kids she doesn't like or whose parents she doesn't like. Today I read an article about 2 years after the fact saying their nonprofit is being sued by the province I live in for embezzlement, accused of stealing $4 million through a few shell corporations, some bogus program they literally sold to themselves through another company they own, and some other shit I don't want to get into. I feel bad for the daughter. She was chill when we were younger, but fuck her mom. I never did shit to her or anybody at that school. I kept my head down and tried to deal with my demons, and she didn't let me, but karma got her ass, so it's cool.
Wait, okay. In the way that I'm understanding the story, I feel like he didn't actually do anything wrong. Like, I think this was just like a stoner that the parents didn't like because he did shit himself.
Yeah.
And they were just trying to get rid of him.
Yeah.
So then they made up this lie that he was giving drugs to all of their children.
Right.
That's how it seems.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. And it seems like the story wasn't told entirely well. Like, it sounded as though they were being sued for something because it had something to do with the drugs at the beginning. But now it's just karma.
Yeah. Karma is my boyfriend.
Karma's getting sued for embezzlement. I mean, OP, I don't think you did anything wrong. It sounds like you just went through a rough patch, and I'm sorry to hear that. But you're right. Karma got her ass, and
Yeah,
I'm happy.
she deserved it.
I'm happy for you.
Look at you now, thriving. A king.
A king.
Wait, it's a boy, right? I don't even know.
I don't know.
A queen,
A
a king, whatever
queen.
you want to be.
A leader, a
Yeah.
ruler. You keep going, OP. You keep going.
I have an interesting one, kind of from a different perspective.
Okay.
I cheated on my wife 3 years ago. She agreed to forgive me if we opened the marriage, but now I live in agony every day.
Shit.
This is kind of deep, so buckle up, everybody. Basically, my wife, 39, found out that I, 41, have been hooking up with a woman I met online who lived 2 hours away. When the woman visited, we checked into a hotel. This went on for 3 months, and we met a handful of times when my wife caught us. She was waiting in the hotel lobby and saw us coming down from the room. She left me the next day.
Shit.
We separated for 8 months, and they were terrible on all of us, especially the children, male 9, female 7, and female 3. We started talking about getting back together. My wife thought that since our sex life wasn't enough for me, and that she was sure that I would cheat on her again, we might as well just open the marriage. I told her no, because I've learned my mistake, and she wouldn't waver. I relented. We decided, she did, not to tell each other when, where, and with whom. Now, over 2 years later, we are back to normal on the outside. On the inside, I'm dying a little each day. Every time I see her happy, I wonder if this is just her old, bubbly self or if she was thinking of someone. She's a very beautiful woman, and I'm sure she has no problems finding men who want her. Whenever she takes a shower after coming home, whenever she rejects my advances, I think that she's been with someone, and that kills me. I have tried to discuss closing the marriage again, but she shuts these attempts very quickly with the divorce card. Before all this happened, we had amazing sex several times a week, but now we probably have done it 4 to 5 times in the past 3 years. She demands I use protection and refuses certain acts. I stopped asking because the sex is painfully bad now. I haven't slept with anybody else because the look on my wife's face in that lobby still makes me sick with guilt. I don't know how much more I can take. I love my wife and I want to spend the rest of my life with her. Will she ever stop punishing me? Have you ever forgiven a cheating spouse and stopped punishing them? What's going on in her head? That's what you get, baby.
I have never been more proud of someone that I don't know. I have never felt so strongly that someone has done the right thing than I do right now. Oh my God.
Isn't that so funny?
An absolute queen. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Cheaters deserve nothing. And like,
oh my God, that literally scared me.
I love this wife.
That's
she
so
is
funny.
Everything. Like, she is just the redemption for so many of us that have been cheated on. I love her. You don't say you love someone and cheat on them. This person deserves literally everything they are getting. I'm so glad they're suffering. I'm so glad they're not having good sex. I am so glad that they feel that agonizing guilt that they felt when they saw the wife in the hotel lobby.
Yeah.
You deserve every ounce of pain you are getting. And go off, queen.
You know what this is? This is the TikTok sound that's like, oh, well, if it isn't the consequences of my own actions. There's an update.
Oh, okay.
Update. Thank you, everyone, for the reality check. He got torn apart in the comments on this, by the way.
I would love if he heard our reaction to this.
Maybe he will.
Continue.
The general consensus that I gathered from the comments is that you believe that my wife doesn't love me anymore. It's probably the truth. She is staying with me for the children, and I fully understand her. I love my children too, and I want to be in their lives all the time, every day. We have worked so hard for this beautiful life we have, and we did it all primarily for the sake of our children. I will not ruin that now for selfish reasons. I've decided to stop hoping, wanting, demanding love and forgiveness from her. Instead, I will accept that I will always live with this guilt. That's only fair. I will enjoy the other aspects of our marriage, like raising our beautiful children with an amazing person like her, and watch them grow up to be good human beings that they are. I will always love my wife, and I will always regret what I have done, but I need to move on too. I'm going to seek help for my mental health and probably start seeing other people too when or if I'm ready.
Well, you know, I want them to get help for their mental health for sure. Like, I don't want them to like suffer internally, but like
cut to 10 seconds ago. You deserve every sliver of pain you feel.
Okay, you're right. They do deserve that. But like,
it seems like he is able to show remorse and obviously admit that he made a terrible mistake. And he's also admitting that he knows he's done for. He knows there's no resolution for it. He is trying to accept it. So at least you can admit it and better yourself. And maybe the next time, if you find love again, when
you won't fudge
frick it up.
Yeah, I'm sorry, OP, but
isn't the wife such a queen?
Coming. Yeah, wife is a queen. Wife's on her vigilante shit.
That is so true. Oh my God! Wait, that's literally the song "Vigilante Shit." Taylor Swift. All her new partners are like, "Picture me thick as thieves with your ex-wife." Wait, vigilante shit. She's like, she needed proof. She had the envelope in her hand. Where do you think she got it from? Picture me thick as thieves with the ex-wife. What if someone who wanted to hook up with the wife is the one that found out about the husband's infidelity, and then they told the wife, she found out, and now they're hooking up with the wife? I'm just gonna tell myself that's the truth because it makes the story more interesting.
Done. Sorry, OP. The universe gives you what you deserve.
Karma is my boyfriend. Karma is a god. Karma is the breeze in my hair. Okay.
Karma is your wife leaving you for other men because cheated.
Coming home happy and you don't know where she's been and she doesn't have to tell you.
But keep raising those kids, honey.
True. Shout out to the kids. Okay. Erin, hit me with another.
My turn? Okay, here we go. Oh, shit. This one is titled, Never Thought I'd Be So Happy to Catch My Ex-Wife Cheating. I'm not even sure if it qualifies as revenge. I think it does, but I'll let the public be the judge. First off, this story occurred many years ago. Let me give you a rundown of the laws around divorce where we lived at the time. Both parties need to agree to the divorce unless one party can prove the other party is at fault. This would mean something akin to cheating. There are also other reasons, but cheating falls into this. Now, I honestly shouldn't have married my ex-wife, but I was young, dumb, she was pretty, and I did what I did. So after our first year of marriage, I came to the conclusion that I wanted to end it. It wasn't working out for many reasons. However, my ex-wife did not want to divorce. Her life was better being married to me than it was without me. And I think she was trying to hold on to that, but there was no love. My ex-wife set a price of $100,000 to agree to a divorce. This does happen here, where if one party wants a divorce and the other doesn't, the party that doesn't want the divorce comes up with a cash payment that they may want and you negotiate from there. Now, I didn't have $100,000. I could get about $25,000 and I was willing to pay that. Also, we had no kids, didn't own anything together, etc. We spent a long time going back and forth over money and how much I'd pay her to divorce me. She finally agreed and I was thrilled. I was so happy. I decided I would go out and celebrate that night and the stars aligned. Now, to give you an idea of how utterly lucky I am about to get, we lived in a city about the size of Chicago. Many millions of people, lots of places to go. My friend took me to a new bar in a part of the city that I had never been to before. We celebrated, had a good time, and I walk out of the bar around 2:30 a.m. It was like fucking Christmas. There was my wife with another man. I had a hunch she was cheating on me, and I was so happy. She was heading for a taxi, and I ran and got into a taxi behind her and told the cab driver to follow him. That's excitement in itself, just like in a movie. Follow them. Much to my enjoyment, the taxi was clearly going to my house. She gets out, I pull out the camera, and I get a few pictures of her kissing this man. Once I get the photos, I immediately email them to my work account to protect them, and I get out of the car and approach the two lovebirds. I introduce myself, thank the kind gentleman, and I make one request. If they want to have sex, don't do it in my house, that's all. I then hand her lover my business card and I thank him for all the money he saved me and tell him if he ever wants to grab a beer, I'd be happy to buy a few rounds for him. I then wish the two lovebirds all the best and go upstairs and head to bed. To say my ex-wife was livid was an understatement. However, the next morning she pointed out something and I have no idea how strong her argument could be in a courtroom, but it did concern me. She said since we already agreed to divorce, it wasn't really cheating and I would still have to pay her. Well, that afternoon I get a phone call. It's my ex-wife's boyfriend. He apologized for sleeping with my ex-wife. I told him no worries. Then he said he'd like to talk to me. We agreed to meet up and we do. Turns out he had been previously cheated on and apparently my ex-wife had lied to him about her relationship status. She said we were waiting for our divorce to be finalized, which was not true, and that she didn't live with me anymore, which was also not true. He also asked if I had sex with her in the last 6 months, and I said I did. Turns out the relationship had begun about 6 months prior and they were sexually active with each other. And she told him she wasn't having sex with anyone, especially me. Whoops! I asked him if he had any documentation of them dating and he goes, yeah. He ended up sending showing me all of the pictures he took of them together, some of which included him kissing her, etc. He also sent me numerous screenshots of text messages between her and him, some of which included her clearly lying about her relationship with me. I put all of this into a folder and backed it up to numerous places, to include a USB drive which I hide in my office at work in case she ever found a way to delete the data, which she never did. I then went to my ex-wife and I had a sit down with her. I went over the mountain of evidence that I had against her. Option A, she agreed to a non-contested divorce. I would give her 30 days to move out. She gets nothing from me and I get nothing from her. Option B, I get a lawyer and I sue the living crap out of her, get a massive judgment against her, still get my divorce, and saddle her with a ton of debt for the rest of her life. She agreed to the non-contested divorce. That was on a Saturday. That Monday, we went to the courthouse and filed for divorce. This started her 30 days. I shacked up with my buddy so I could be out of her way. We had a court hearing a few weeks later. Judge made it clear we were doing a non-contested divorce. Once he stamps the divorce decree, we have to report to the city hall and our divorce will be finalized. Us not having kids or property make it pretty quick and easy. We both agreed. We both signed. Judge stamped the documents. I eagerly grabbed my divorce decree and rushed to city hall to report my divorce, and wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, I was a free man. I actually ended up becoming friends with the guy that was banging my wife, and we still talk today. Although, over COVID-19 pandemic, our relationship got distant. But not because of a falling out or anything, just not talking to each other.
Shit. Wow.
It's not revenge, I don't think. I don't think it's revenge. I think it's
him confronting
beautiful
them.
Karma.
Yeah, him confronting them in the driveway.
I guess, yeah, that could be revenge.
And then becoming friends with the guy.
Ugh, beautiful.
That is so funny.
Beautifully done. The universe, I mean, OP said it themselves, the stars aligned, things were in their favor, and that was incredibly well executed. I love that for OP. I absolutely do.
Oh my God, that's so funny. Okay, so if you saw your partner cheating on you, would you confront them? Like, let's say that you walked in on this person after a few years of dating and they were like hooking up with someone in your kitchen. Are you taking pictures and silently walking out and they don't see you? Or are you walking in there confronting them?
I think I'm walking in taking pictures immediately, regardless of if I decide to confront them or not, because you always need evidence. I don't know. I don't He didn't love her. He didn't want to be with her.
He didn't want to be her. He didn't want to be with her anyway. So it's easier for him.
If that was the case, heck yeah. No, you know what? If that was the case, I don't know if I would confront them. I would just get my evidence. If that was the case, I would probably have just let it happen and been like, now I have the evidence I need to get the divorce. End of discussion. If it was someone I did still want to be with, I don't know. I would maybe be a little petty. Like, maybe I wouldn't confront them. I would take the evidence and like send it to their work email during the day or something, so that they like panicked at the office.
I feel like when it comes to revenge, I think the best revenge is to just like not do anything and just ignore the person. So if I were ever to be cheated on and I figured it out through like text messages or anything, I would do everything to just remain normal, and then secretly I'd be getting all my shit together behind the scenes, and then one day I would be like, oh, I'm going to the store or something, and then walk out the door and block them on everything, move out of the house, never speak to them again, and then just fall off the face of the earth, and they would never hear from me ever again, or any of my friends. And I feel like the not knowing what happened would eat them alive, and I think that would be my form of revenge.
I love that. I think I would do very similar, but tweak it a little bit.
Wait, we can't give this away. Shit. Because what if it happens? Then they're going to look back to this episode.
Then they should have seen it coming.
That's true. Okay, well, maybe we'll just deter people from cheating on us.
Yeah, so I think what I would do is follow in your footsteps, pack up all of my things while they are at work in an office doing their job with their coworkers, be ready to go, block them on all social media, text them the photos that I took of them cheating, and then fall off the face of the earth. So that not only are they left wondering, they're left knowing that they fucked up.
I think it would be better if they had no idea, because then in their mind, they're like, did she know? Did she find out? Or like, what's the reason that she disappeared?
But like at the same time, they might still think like, maybe she didn't know. And it's like...
And then what?
Then they might think that they got away with it. And we should at least let them suffer.
But isn't getting away with cheating like remaining in your perfect relationship that you love and that you want to be in? So you didn't get away with it because she's gone.
No, I think getting away with cheating is getting away with it and not getting caught.
Okay, but yeah, not getting caught and then remaining in the relationship.
No, not necessarily remaining in the relationship.
Okay.
Like,
but why else would you cheat other than if you want to keep dating this person or keep being with this person?
I don't know, because I don't know. I don't know.
I never cheated, so I can't say.
Yeah, it's hard for me to say. I can't really put myself in someone else in a cheater's shoes. But if I had to put myself in I was going to say if I had to put myself in a victim's shoes, but I have been. I've just never had hard-hitting evidence. So if I did have the hard-hitting evidence and I lived with them, I'd pack up my things, wait until they were at work, send the message so that their heart had to sink while they were at work and they got caught, and then they can live with that guilt every day for the rest of their lives while they wonder where I am and I'm jet setting to Paris.
On last week's episode, Trisha and I read a story that was similar. The husband cheated on the wife and she found out like 3 days before her brother's wedding.
Yeah.
And so we were like, you should confront him in front of everyone at the wedding, because all day at the wedding, he's thinking he got away with it. And then it's like, buddy, guess what? In front of everyone.
Yeah. I mean, if you haven't already noticed, I'm a firm believer in cheaters need to suffer. But is that being petty? No,
I don't think so. That's just hoping that people receive consequences for their actions.
Of course. Okay, so I'm not petty.
Reasonable consequences for their actions.
I think, I'm a firm believer that cheaters need to suffer. So in that moment, I absolutely agree. Like, go to the wedding, blow them up in the spotlight, let them have it. I think in this situation, I don't know that I could confront them. Like you said, I couldn't keep my composure, but I could definitely scheme behind closed doors.
Me too.
Or in front of a camera while recording my podcast. I could also scheme then.
We're always scheming over here. Speaking of confronting cheaters in front of others, this one's kind of funny. Snobby cheater humiliated.
Snobby?
Yeah. So in college, there was this snobby guy named Joey who thought very, very highly of himself just because he had rich parents. He was the type of guy who broke up with a girl because he found out she lived in a middle-class neighborhood and didn't wear the right name brands. In fact, he was so stuck up, he thought he could juggle 3 girls all at the same time and not get caught. Well, he got caught. LOL.
Joey, buddy.
All 3 girls learned what he was doing and conspired to get him back. There was this big Halloween party at a sorority house where they had this stupid tradition called a cock walk, where lots of guys volunteered to get placed inside of what were basically plexiglass cages, or a plexiglass box that was just big enough for one person to stand in, and they would get put on display for party guests to look at and vote up or down. The winning guy with the most upvotes gets a free phone.
Oh my God.
What the fuck? College is so bizarre. What did we do in college? I mean, I didn't do this in college, but just college. It's just so odd.
I mean, I didn't do this in college, but there was definitely like you could go to an auction and like buy a frat boy to go on a date with you.
Yeah, like these traditions are so goofy. So one of the 3 girls who Joey cheated on convinced him that he had a very, very good chance of winning the cock walk, and she told him how popular he was with the ladies and how everyone was hoping he would compete so they could vote him up. Joey was so convinced he had a great shot at winning the cock walk, so he signed up. He even came dressed in a toga costume that he had spent like $1,000 on, custom made for him. You should have seen him at the party with his nose in the air and thinking he was the greatest thing ever. Well, what he didn't know is that the 3 girls he was juggling had somehow managed to get word out to almost everyone at the party about Joey and his snobby ways and his womanizing ways. So when it came time for the cock walk, he was locked inside one of the plexiglass cages, and all of the female guests lined up to walk past and vote up or down. Imagine Joey's surprise when the first 3 girls in line were the 3 girls he was cheating on. Of course, all 3 girls voted him down. That was probably humiliating enough, but then he had to stand there locked behind the glass and watch every girl at the party vote him down too.
Yes, girls.
Girl after girl filed past him, including cheerleaders, sorority sisters, and all the girls guys like to impress, and they all cast their down votes. Many of them were making faces and gestures at him and laughing. Joey turned so bright red. He tried to get out of the box, but the door, which was behind him, was locked, so he tried to bump his butt against the door over and over again to jar it open, but from the front, that only made it look like he was humping up against the glass. He was making himself look even more foolish. And everyone was totally enjoying his comeuppance. All the more. He was left in the glass case as the He was left in the glass case as the winner was announced, which obviously was not him, since he didn't get a single upvote. And when he was finally let out, everyone, like he's an animal.
He is.
Everyone was cheering and clapping when he walked out. Believe it or not, he actually dropped out of college a few days later. Do you think it was because he didn't want to show his face around here anymore?
I just want to first applaud every woman at this college, the cheerleaders, the sorority sisters, the girls that just showed up to this party for just like being one big sisterhood and riding or dying for like girls that they wouldn't want it to happen to them. Like,
Girls support girls, baby.
girls support girls.
Queen support queen.
You know what? For anyone listening who does not behave like this, you need to support the women around you. Men are trash.
Wait, that's so fucking funny. Just the fact that he's like in a plexiglass cage and he can't get out, and he's just like humping the wall, trying to get out. That's
and they're
so
just
funny.
like laughing at him. Like,
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Well, I would say that's what you get, you stupid ass bitch.
Yeah,
for
he
cheating.
certainly deserved it. But you know what? Go on a shopping spree, Joey. You'll get over it.
Yeah, Joey kind of sucks. Glad it happened to him.
Yeah.
I feel like also that's something that's just pretty harmless. Like, yeah, it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
But it's not going to ruin your life.
Yeah,
you know?
it certainly wouldn't ruin anyone's life. And honestly, like, everyone knows why they did it to him. It's not like he, like, murdered someone. Like, he cheated on a couple girls, so everyone's like, okay, this
It's really
is
not that bad.
Well, no. It's like everyone's like, okay, so we're going to embarrass him.
Yeah.
But, like, if you see him on the campus moving forward, you're not like, oh, he's the one that, like, fucking, like, pooped himself at the party in front of everyone. Like, no, like, we were meant to embarrass him for a reason. So
Yes.
it's like, we'll move on from it if he does. I
Totally.
don't really care if he does or not, but I just love, like, he thought he could juggle 3 girls at once. Like, I mean, you and I have talked about this on here before. People slide into your DMs, slide into my DMs, and slide into our friend Michelle's DMs at the same time and think that the 3 of us aren't going to notice.
Yeah. We noticed.
We certainly noticed.
I loved that story. That was so funny.
That was incredible. Okay. My turn?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Man-child X wouldn't pay for his own phone. Whew, okay. About 10 years ago, I added my boyfriend at the time, we'll call him Tim, to my cell phone plan. He was 20 or 21 at the time, living at home with mommy. We were in college. And he had a decent part-time job. He did not have credit, so he could not get his own standalone phone plan. He offered to pay as part of the bill, so I agreed, and we got him all set up. We were together for about a year. He always acted like he was ashamed of me in public places, so we hardly ever went out. When we did hang out somewhere other than his mom's house, we were either at an event for him, a store for him to blow all his money on magic cards or wrestling figures, or at music and video shops where he would spend even more money on wrestling documentaries or albums by cover bands. This was a bi-weekly series of events. If I wanted to go to a particular store, no. If I had some event that I would like him to go to with me, no. He went to one concert with me because we were 2 hours from home and no one would see me. At his local wrestling events, if I were near him and someone came to talk to me, he would block me and never once introduce me.
Bye.
I was basically there to record his matches. But I was young and dumb, and I thought I couldn't do better because of a lifetime of brainwashing. Story for another time. Sad girly.
Yeah.
Shortly before we broke up, I found out that he had been talking to another girl for the first 6 months that we were together. She was his backup plan. I lost my shit when I found out about this.
God. Him. He's horrible.
I know. Things went downhill from there, and he also admitted to hanging out at a girl's houses to, quote, work on art projects without saying anything to me. I'd had enough and broke it off. Numerous times, I told him he needed to get his own cell plan. He had stopped paying his part months before we broke up. He kept making excuses that he didn't have the money. See all the junk he bought above. I finally got tired of his crap about 2 months after we had split. I called the service provider and asked to get his phone line removed from my account. About an hour later, he started messaging me on Facebook because his phone wasn't working. I played dumb and acted like mine wasn't working either. I told him I'd message the provider and find out what was going on. The next day, he messaged me again asking for an update. I told him the account had just been suspended by accident when I tried to adjust my plan. I told him it would be at least another day before it was sorted out. He messaged me on Facebook again the next day, and I told him my plan got canceled and I had to open a completely new account without him on it. He got so mad and had to put down a $500 deposit to recover his phone number. I'm so proud of myself.
Wow, first of all, he overall sucks as a whole. And then the fact that she was 20 or 21, assuming that they're the same age, and she lets him on her phone bill.
And not only that, but he stopped paying it for months and she continued to pay it for him.
Well, she did admit that it was a mistake that she was with him and she went through something that made her think that that was acceptable. So she's already bettering herself, queen, but horrible. And he deserved all of it. He doesn't deserve you. And go off.
Yeah. I mean, I will say, I think it would have hit a little more in the feels if she didn't lie about what was going on with the phone. If she just would have said, I canceled it, I'm not paying for you, buddy.
I kind of like that she lied though, because then she kind of just kept him hanging on.
Yeah, that's true.
She's like, oh, it's just getting fixed. It's just getting fixed. I would have just kept saying that forever.
Yeah.
I think that's so funny.
And at what point does he... Oh, that's crazy. It's not fixed after 4 months. OP, you did what any normal sane person would have done. Cancel the phone plan. I mean.
That's true.
You go, girl.
Letting my ex-husband drown in attorney fees. After 5 years of marriage and endless false promises, I finally get my personal revenge. My ex-husband, 32, and I, 33, got married in 2017 after 1 year of long-distance relationship between the U.S. and Germany. We sealed the deal, got married in the U.S., and he wanted me to live with him in the good old U.S. of A. because he didn't want to learn another language. Okay, so we're assuming that the wife lives in Germany and he lives in the United States. To make things easier, he moved in with me in Germany for a job that I helped him get so we would have time to finalize my plans for emigration and immigration. Now, my ex didn't even start to gather all the required documents for himself to be my sponsor. Said and done, I had all the documents well sorted out, canceled all my contracts, sold my belongings, sent large parts of my things to the U.S., and said goodbye to my lovely home, family, and friends.
Aww.
Little did I know my ex-husband did not do a single bit of research or even did his part for my immigration process, and I wasn't able to set foot on the plane that would bring me to my new home. Long story short, he left to the U.S. without me, and I was homeless with a suitcase and 2 cats. He continued to lead me on with promises to come and get me. Meanwhile, he started a polyamorous affair. Later, he got involved with a 21-year-old young lady. I lived with my parents for a few months to get back on my feet. I found a new apartment and a new source of income. Now, I never went to German officials to get our marriage recognized in Germany, mostly because I didn't think it was necessary because we planned to live together in the US, but my laziness should be proven to be useful later. Since he was with his new girlfriend, 21, I broke up the relationship. In the US, we still count as married, and I focused on myself, regaining my independence and rebuilding my life in my home country. I fell in love with an acquaintance, 31, that I've known for 13 years, and we soon found that we have very much the same goals in life and the very same ideals and wishes for a monogamous life. Meanwhile, I've been in contact with my ex to finally get him to start the divorce in the US. Since the marriage was closed in the US, only a US citizen is able to petition for the divorce at the district court. I didn't want my name to be further affiliated with him, and I also didn't see the reason why he should further profit from tax benefits. I made clear that I didn't want this anymore, and I wanted to move on. Finally, he got a process started and forgot one single thing, that I am not an American citizen. So everything that applies in the US when it comes to paperwork doesn't apply to me in Germany. Means serving me via email? Nope. wanting me to sign something electronically. Nope, not possible. All they would have to do is send me the notarized, signed, and translated paperwork via physical mail, but they don't. So I get email after email with pleas to get me to sign the U.S. divorce papers electronically. With every mail his lawyer sends me, his pay ramps up. Don't get me wrong, I certainly told the lawyer what he has to do in order to get me to sign a legally significant piece of paper, but I guess he doesn't know international laws. So at this point, my ex still sits on all of my belongings I asked him to give back, and since he doesn't do that, I'll keep collecting spam mails from his lawyer. That's my personal revenge for leading me on, using my hopeless romantic heart, and leaving me alone when things get hard. I don't count as married in Germany, and I am currently expecting a little baby boy with my partner, and we are building a life together without false promises.
Aww.
Wait, that's so crazy. Her husband is just here in the United States, married, and he's just not doing the very simple thing that he needs to do, and he's only hurting himself because, like she said, he has to keep paying this lawyer every time he sends her something in the mail, and none of it's right.
I love that for her.
Wait, I can't believe you can just marry someone that doesn't live in the United States and then get tax benefits, but they never have to live here.
Yeah, maybe we should... Nothing.
You know what? Let's move
Nothing.
on. Let's move on from this story.
Good for her, though. I'm glad she's not giving in.
Yeah.
She deserves her stuff.
There was a little edit. She said, "For some, I'm stupid, an idiot, and for some, I did get myself into the situation, which is fine to claim, but I never denied accountability. I learned my part, and just because the marriage gets divorced in the U.S. because he had to file for it, doesn't mean we haven't been separated for much longer." Her English is a little iffy, but I think what she's saying is some people were saying, well, it was your fault anyway for marrying a guy after a 1-year relationship, but she's like, I know that.
Yeah.
I take accountability. He just isn't doing the right thing now.
Right.
And then she said, was I stupid? Yes, absolutely. Am I wrong for moving on with a new partner? No, absolutely not. Which I agree with.
No, she's allowed to move on.
Yeah.
And she's not causing any harm. She said what needed to be done. She told him, I want my stuff back, and he's not doing it. So she's not agreeing. That's like agreeing to terms.
Yeah.
She's saying, give me my things and we will sign the divorce papers, and he's not doing it.
But it's not even that. It's he needs to go to a notary and send her these specific documents, and he's not even doing that. He's just sending
an
her
idiot.
Yeah, he's just sending her mail saying, please sign this, and she's like, but that's not good enough. And the husband's lawyer keeps doing it over and over and over again. And she keeps telling him, this is not right. And the lawyer, she even said he's not an expert on international law, so he doesn't even understand. So it really is all the husband and the lawyer, but they're just doing themselves a disservice. I guess the lawyer's not, because the lawyer's making money. The husband's being an idiot, though, because he's wasting money on this lawyer.
Men.
Shaking my head.
Well, I'm glad she's happy, expecting a
Yeah.
little baby boy. Good for her. Her little German love family.
And hopefully it works out.
Yeah.
And they get divorced.
Not knowing her new family. Her old
divorce. Family.
Yes. All right, I get another one. I may be an asshole, but to be fair, I was hangry. Enough said. Okay, I have a confession. When I was 24, I worked at the grocery store. My day had already started horribly because on my way to the store, some lady bumped into me while holding iced coffee and just spilled it all over my white shirt. And since I didn't have a backup shirt, I just wore it as is. I want it to be known that the lady was really nice and she was very apologetic. And the whole thing was just an unfortunate accident, and I'm a very reasonable person. So I didn't make a scene, and she did try to help me clean it. What I'm trying to say is that I don't really have a bad temper. The only thing is I demand respect to myself, and I will make sure to be respectful and polite to you in return. Long story short, we had an incident where somebody ate some other employee's yogurt, and that employee, I'll call her B, took out everybody else's lunches, including mine, and emptied it into the trash. Keep in mind that the day before, I had to stay up late to make this lunch because I don't eat much. Usually I eat once a day. I tried to make sure all of my lunches are big and delicious and homemade.
Oh, this is sad.
I know. So, after she threw all of our lunches into the trash, she came to the register and happily announced that if she's not going to be eating, nobody is. And she did it with such a bravado, as if she was waiting for us all to start clapping in admiration. When I tried to inquire as to what she meant and she told us, I was super upset because I wasn't going to get home until late that night, and even if I did, I would still have to then stay and cook my meal all over again. Aww. So I did the next logical thing. I went to the refrigerator in the store. I took out a can of Coke, paid for it at her register, and proceeded to pour it all over her shirt, happily stating that if I am not wearing a clean shirt, no one is wearing a clean shirt. By the way, it turns out that the lady ate her fucking yogurt the day before and just forgot about it. How do I know? Because my best friend worked in the office next to the security monitors, and we were petty enough to check. Dear Mrs. B, if you're out there, I hope that 50-cent yogurt gave you diarrhea.
Wait, why does it make me so emotional that OP is like, I cooked myself a big lunch? I was like, wait, that was so sweet.
That's so cute.
And then this freaking lady who's just a wacko, obviously, and so rude and entitled, just throws out everyone's lunch because you think that somebody stole yours. Horrible.
Yeah.
I do think that dumping soda on someone while they're on the shift, on the clock, well, I guess anywhere, it is assault.
Is it?
I think so. Yeah. So I don't know if I can fully support OP on this podcast with my name and likeness attached to it.
Agreed. But like at the same time, if B doesn't get to eat, no one does. If OP has to wear a dirty shirt, so does someone else.
That was sarcasm, if you guys can't tell, right?
No. That was OP's whole motive.
I know, but do you agree with it?
I don't agree that they should assault someone, but like OP had to get revenge.
I think it's funny.
I think it's also it's harmless revenge.
Well, harmless. Well, okay.
She didn't drown in the soda.
Do we know that?
I hope not.
Okay, I have a few lighthearted ones to end on. Buyer beware. I bought a dryer on Bargain Finder. That was an old newspaper type relic from before the internet, secondhand seller sites. My dryer was fricked. I was a poor 20-something and the dryer was for sale, and the dryer for sale was cheap and said it works great. Just a few neighborhoods over, my friend and I went to pick it up, but it was in the garage, so no 220 to plug it into to verify that it actually worked. I'm gonna guess 220 is the type of outlet. The fricker selling it swore up and down that it worked great, so I bought it. Took that damn thing home and hauled it to the basement and threw the wet clothes from the old dryer in there, and then cracked a beer. End of beer, I checked on the laundry, and while the thing was running, there was no heat. It was basically a hamster wheel for clothes. So I called the guy back and asked if he knew that the heater part of the dryer didn't work, and he simply replied, "Buyer beware," and hung up. Mother fricker. So my buddy and I loaded it back in my truck and drove back to his house. I backed up on his front lawn, and we got out and heaved that fucker at the spindles on the front veranda. It broke a couple of them and landed in the flower garden. Fuckface came storming out of his house and started yelling at me that he sold it fair and square. I stood there until he stopped and simply said, "Seller beware." The best part was peeling off his lawn with my RWD truck and fricking up his grass. Didn't get any money back, but I got my money's worth.
Cheers, OP.
That's so fucking funny. Seller beware, great line.
Yeah, that's great. OP did what needed to be done.
Yes, and the seller got his karma.
Yeah.
Dollar bill, y'all. So I'm at the dollar store today. I don't know where you live, but around here, the few stores are notoriously understaffed. It isn't rare to have lines 10 people deep with the cashiers struggling to move as fast as they can. I'm pretty patient as I work in a similar field and always give myself extra time when I go shop there. So the line is backed up halfway down the snack aisle. I'm number 3 in line to check out. A lady, 6 in line, with her 5-year-old kid gets frustrated and starts getting aggressively loud, not quite yelling, but loud enough that most of the store can hear. The aggressive lady, "You need to open a second register. You move too slow. This store always does this. Open a second register." The poor cashier keeps her head down and tries moving faster, but it's not helping. Lady, "You all need to say something. Speak up. They always do this. Open a second register." People in line are uncomfortable and shifting around, but no one says anything to her while she complains openly with her kid in tow. Under his breath, the guy behind me says, "What do you want her to do? Shut down this register and move move to the other one, which draws some snickers from the crowd. Lady, this is bullshit. You're bullshit. Don't talk to me with my kid. This dollar store sucks. She drags her kid up to the next door clothes register and slams her hand on the conveyor belt and goes, open this register. Open the second register. During this, the manager has come out of the back and watched the commotion. He walks over to the register she's at and flips on the light. I can help the next customer. The lady dumps all her stuff on the belt. The manager says, ma'am, I said I can help the next customer. Sir? And he gestures towards me to come over as the person in front of me was now being helped by cashier number 1. I'm right here. I'm first. No, ma'am. He was before you. You cut the line. Sir, I can help you right here. Ma'am, can you please remove your things from the belt? The lady, shocked Pikachu face. The kid starts to cry. She aggressively smashes all her things back in her basket and goes back to her former 6th place in line. Now 5th or whatever. The manager said, ma'am, I've already told you that no one is allowed to cut lines. I'll need you to go to the back. This dollar store may suck, but it's my dollar store. She slams her basket on the floor and drags her crying kid out of the store. His petty revenge, not mine. But man, was it fun to witness.
I love that.
I love someone that gets put in their place when they think they're entitled.
Yeah, I can't stand entitled people.
Yeah, that's so annoying. The lady is such a little biatch. And the fact that the manager was like, back of the line, you can't cut.
I love that.
King or
I
queen,
love that.
whoever you are.
I just like to put like a little icing on the cake, would have like stuck my foot out to trip her on the way out.
Assault.
No, it's not my fault if she trips.
Okay.
Damn, good for that manager. I love that. I almost hate entitled people as much as I hate cheaters.
Yeah, entitled people suck.
I think that's why I liked that story about Joey so much. He was entitled.
Joey stuck in the plexiglass cage humping the wall.
Entitled Joey, entitled woman in the dollar store. Let's move on.
Okay, last one. This one's funny. I love science. When I was 16, I was in a horrible car accident that caused my head to get cut all the way to my skull. I've had multiple reconstructive surgeries to fix it. During one visit to get my stitches removed, there was a lady in the waiting room asking everyone why they were there. I whispered to my mother that she better not ask me or I would make her regret it. She did, ... evil grin. She had made everyone else noticeably uncomfortable, and it was showtime. We were in science class going over the layers of the skin, and I thought it was so cool. Science is my favorite subject, so I wanted to see it firsthand. When I got home, I went to the bathroom mirror and cut it open so I could see it up close. The lady grabs her mouth and she looked as if she was going to cry. She ran out of the office and missed her appointment. I noticed everyone was looking at me like I was nuts, so I laughed and explained that I had been in a car accident. They sighed and laughed. My mother sat beside me laughing so hard she was crying.
I love that.
That is so funny.
I love that.
Once again, entitled person just asking people why they're at the doctor's office. Like,
Yeah, unbelievable.
that is so incredibly rude.
Yeah. But I just also at this, I mean, yes, absolutely so incredibly rude. And I love every bit about that. This is revenge, but it's also just such a funny story.
Oh my God, it's so funny. The fact that she thought of that, a little 16-year-old at the time.
That is so funny. Wait, I have a really funny off-topic story. One time I was at a doctor's office and there was multiple people in the waiting room with me. There was a huge group, right? 2 of the men in there both only had one leg. And the one man asked the other man, like, oh, you know, what happened to you? And he was like, oh, you know, I was in the military, whatever. What about you? And the other man with one leg goes, oh, I stepped on a Lego. I was like, I lost it. There were tears streaming down my face. I could not stop laughing. And then the first person who had asked, like, clearly just did not get the joke. And he just, like, stood there, like, blank face, silent. And the guy was like, I'm kidding. Like, I don't know. He was like, I had MRSA or something. And I just, like, literally tried to not laugh out loud in dead silence, tears streaming down my face, was, like, chuckling.
I mean, he said it to make you laugh.
He said it, but, like, I didn't want to be obnoxious laughing. It was so funny. No one else in the room, like, I don't know if people just didn't hear it or didn't react or maybe didn't, I don't know, but I was, like, shaking in my seat. I was laughing so hard.
So funny.
I was like, this is incredible.
That's hilarious.
I know.
I was on the beach over the summer, and you know how the sand is really hot on the beach? You might have even been there.
Yeah.
But there was a woman who only had one leg, and then she had a prosthetic on the other one. And when she was walking, everyone's just like running to their towel, like, oh, like my feet hurt. They're burning. And the lady just goes, she like turns to my mom and I, and she's like, this is one time where it's really good to just have one leg or one foot or something like that. And we're like,
Amazing.
oh yeah. She's like, it's working out for me.
Aww.
We were like,
I love that.
Like, I don't know. I forgot what we said, but we just like laughed along with her. But it was so funny.
That is so funny. I love that.
Well, we hope you enjoyed our episode on revenge.
Revenge is
Maybe I've been dressing for revenge. And go listen to Taylor Swift. Go stream Vigilante shit on midnights.
And stream Better Than Revenge on
Speak Now.
Because it'll get you in the mood.
I was like, what are you going to say? Because what?
Because it'll really get you in the mood. You know?
Yeah.
Taylor does a lot for us, and it's hard not to reference her during these stories.
Yeah, totally. She writes music for the people. Art imitates life. What can you say?
Yeah.
I like this episode. It was funny.
That was good. This was really good because I felt satisfaction hearing the revenge. It's like a lot of times you hear these like sad, horrible, messed up stories that are like, oh, I'm so mad for them. But it's like, I'm walking out of here cool as a cucumber because thank you, OPs, for your revenge. People need it.
Yes, and thank you for sharing your lighthearted way of telling stories.
Absolutely. I love it. I love it so much.
Listeners, thank you so much for listening to our podcast. We are having so much fun doing it. We love you. We appreciate you. And we'll see you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.